Yesterday, I got a WhatsApp message from the architect working on my house down in Mexico saying that there was no water at my house. I live part-time in Mexico and part-time in the US, and this wasn't the first time our water had run dry in Mexico, but I still freak out each time. Did I pay the bill? Is the cistern leaking? Did the bomb blow up? Was construction going to go from just inching along at a slow pace to completely stopped because they couldn't make concrete without water? Of course, I'm in Oregon right now, so I can't make any of these determinations on my own, except for the bill payment, which I had, in fact, already paid online. The good news is that it had run out before when I was down there, so I learned how the system works. And in this video, I'm going to share how water typically works in Mexico, because it's not like anything that I've seen in the United States. First, we have city water, a pipe coming in from the street. I think this is pretty common in Mexico. What's not common is for there to be water inside that pipe. Water doesn't flow at all hours of the day in La Paz. I'm not sure how much this is a problem in the rest of Mexico, but in La Paz, they can't provide water for everyone at the same time. So they set a schedule and post it to Facebook. I really don't know how exactly the schedule works because I don't pay attention, and I think most people don't. That's because folks commonly have one or two of these things, a tinaco and a cisterna. In my house, I only have a cisterna, which is underground, and a tinaco is typically on the roof and usually results in warmer water because they are black and absorb the sun's heat during the day. I don't know many gringos with tinacos, and I'm not sure why. And I don't know if tinacos are only for hot water, and these folks also have a cisterna for cold water. So the cistern at our house is this huge concrete structure that fills with water when the water from the city is working. And it would take quite a number of days to use up this water. I calculated it as being about 4,000 gallons when it's full. The bad news is, just like I ignore the city water calendar, I also ignore the status of my cistern level. But let's go through how the system works. Water comes from the city when there's water from the city, and if the cistern isn't full, this little toilet-type valve turns on the city water into the cistern. When the cistern is full, just like in your toilet, it turns off the water. The next step in the process is the bomba. This is the word for pump. I was quite confused prior to learning this word. The pump is on top of a pressurized tank. Water is drawn out of the tank when you turn on a faucet, and the pressure pushes the water to the faucet. And when enough water goes out of the tank, the pump turns on to repressurize the tank. We actually had one of these in my house growing up, but I never knew what it was. I just knew that it made noise in the basement intermittently, and it scared me when I was a wee lad. And we had well water back when I was a kid, so this is typically part of a well water system in the United States. Finally, there's a float sensor in the cisterna that cuts off power to the pump if the water level gets too low. That way you won't burn out the pump, which is all really clever, and I'd love to figure out a way to get notified when this happens, so if you're a really clever kind of guy, share your thoughts in the comments section below. But let's talk about what can go wrong causing you to have no water. The water at the city can stop, sometimes for days and sometimes even over a week. You can use up all the cistern water and then you got nothing. When this happens, you call a Pipa. That's a water truck that can bring water to your cistern and fill it back up. But it's way more expensive than getting water from the city, maybe $60 to fill up our cistern. The toilet valve thingy can break. We had that happen once. A root grew in the cistern and blocked the ball from going down with the water. So the city water never got turned on. I cut the root, the ball went down, and the city water turned back on. The pump can break. Mechanical stuff breaks, enough said. The electricity to the pump can break. The float sensor can get twisted around something and tell the pump to turn off even though there's water in the cistern. One benefit of a tinaco is that the water is usually on your roof, so you have gravity pushing in the water even if you have no electricity. But we have a palm frond roof, so I don't think that will support 1,000 gallons of water. So I mentioned the first time was the root growing into the toilet valve. This most recent time, it was the electricity. The breaker tripped, maybe due to the construction, and the construction workers didn't know that the electric panel for the garage was out in the backyard. It's crazy. We don't have one main electric panel. We have 4 sub panels, one in the backyard, one in the front yard, and 2 inside the house. And don't get me started about wire colors. I was able to get my caretaker over to the house, and he knows all the ins and outs. He saw the cistern was full and that the sensors looked good, so he tested the electricity, found out it was out, and flipped the breaker out in the backyard. Presto, electricity, water, and most importantly, concrete. If you've been following my channel, you know I've been in a drawn-out construction process since June. I promised my wife it would be done by December 1st when we drive back down from Portland for the winter. Originally, I scoffed at the idea of even needing to promise that. The plan was to complete the project in 4 weeks. We're going on week 18 now, and I'm heading back down in a week to try to pressure the crew to get it done before my wife shows up. If it's not done, it's not going to be pretty for any of us. You can see my most recent construction update up here, or if you have a place in La Paz, you can learn how to pay your water bill from anywhere down here. Hasta pronto.